It's World Theatre Day today, and to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but what I thought I would do is take the opportunity to just say thanks to a few people and a few organisations who have been influential to me in terms of establishing my theatre career. So yeah, I just wanted to give a few thanks to people and give a few shout outs, as I think it's a nice way to recognise what they've done for me on World Theatre Day. I've got to give an obvious big thanks to Theatre Royal Plymouth, which is my home theatre. It's the theatre that not only I kind of first got involved in as a young person outside of school in terms of doing shows for young people with the Young Company, with the community groups, but also, you know, I saw those shows that inspired me. I saw the likes of Light by Complicité and The Red Shoes by Knee High, which, you know, to me, being kind of 14, 15 and seeing those things made me just it kind of blew my mind at how inventive and creative those shows were. So that really had a profound influence on me, and seeing theatre as not just being panto musicals, but seeing these kind of really inventive shows. And also, you know, they gave me my first work in theatre. When I left school, I started working as a practitioner at Theatre Royal. I ended up doing admin in their creative learning department, and was part of a really kind of big family and supportive kind of network of people who really kind of influenced me and set me on my way and inspired me. One of the people I met at Theatre Royal Plymouth who continues to be a big influence to me is Steve Marmion. Steve's now the artistic director of the Soho Theatre, as I'm sure many of you know. But when I first met him, he was just about to join Theatre Royal Plymouth as the Young Company youth theatre director, and he was just one of those people where he came in and just had this drive and this vision of what to do and what theatre could be and how it could engage us, but also treated us professionally, and as a director was just so creative and inventive that again, you know, we learned so much from being around him. But also as a colleague and as a friend, I got to work with him quite a lot, and we spent a lot of nights out, and really was a truly supportive person. You know, when I was thinking about going on to university and stuff, really helped me think about what direction I was going to go in beyond doing drama. Made me think about what the possible career paths were, and even now while he's at the Soho, I still see him and catch up with him when I can, and he continues to be that kind of influence and that inspiration, you know, and he's now running one of the most successful theatres in London. That's a great achievement, and it makes me feel really proud for him, having known him so long. So I've had a few jobs in theatre which have been not necessarily big glamorous jobs, but have had a really kind of big influence on me personally in terms of my kind of opinions about what working in theatre is and the kind of people around. So one of those was when I worked at Theatre Royal Winchester when I was at university. I worked on the best box office in the world. We had an amazing time working there. It was just so much fun, and you know, the kind of people who were around there working were just like really good fun and really good friends, and made me kind of go, theatre people are pretty amazing. Like they're such a good crowd, and it's that kind of thing of like, it's where it doesn't feel like a real job because you're just having so much fun at work. You know, and I've got onto various kind of front of house and box office jobs which I picked up a lot from that kind of workplace, and that I enjoyed being there. You know, and it also gave me my first job after I finished university as well, in the office, which I progressed through from being around so long. And another organisation like that was when I was in London. I worked at the Hampstead Theatre doing front of house and box office for about 4 years, basically the duration of when I lived in London. And the people there were just like the absolute best people. It's incredible to think that just on the front of house and box office there were just so many like talented people who had such a range of experience and skills in the arts, and you would never know that because they were just people who worked on the bar, you know, who served you drinks at the interval, who gave you tickets when you arrived, and just like a brilliant sound group of people. And you know, we had such great fun. You know, it's not always the most exciting and glamorous job in the world, and it's not the most rewarding job in the world sometimes doing that kind of work, but just the kind of the crack you had with people and the fun you had, which made working all the more enjoyable. And you got to be in that atmosphere of a theatre in London, and being around what was going on there and meeting all the artists who passed through. Like, that was such a good job to have. in the time that I was in London as my kind of other thing that financially supported me when I was freelancing and not earning. So, you know, the people I met there were like, you know, an absolutely amazing crowd, and you'll find that in theatres all over the world, that those kind of front of house members of staff and box members of staff will be the people who in 20 years will be running those organisations. And it's kind of sad that people don't realise that, but it's also amazing to think that those people are there and they will achieve great things. And it's nice to have had a spell in London where I got to hang out with some of those people and have good times with them before they've gone on to their various successes, and I can still meet up with them and tell them about the stupid times where we worked and something kind of ridiculous happened on the bar, or the in-jokes we have that you get in those kind of jobs. When I moved back to Plymouth, I also got my first engagement opportunity with Barbican Theatre. Now, I'd never been involved in the Barbican when I was younger, but when I came back and I was looking at getting into producing, there was a programme called PIP Young Promoters, which I ended up getting involved in, and that was my first real hands-on experience of producing theatre and working in a theatre environment in that capacity outside of university. And it was so great that this programme existed that gave us that opportunity. They gave those of us interested the opportunity to work in that capacity, that an organisation would put trust in us and faith in us to deliver that type of work. And, you know, I work there now. It's my job now as a creative producer at Barbican Theatre, and in many ways it feels like I've been able to go back and kind of repay some of that investment that was put into me and some of that trust that was put into me in those early days. You know, I've been able to, in my day-to-day job, support artists and offer opportunities as much as possible, and try and keep supporting the growth of the sector in the city, and that goes back to when I first worked for that organisation and they gave me that opportunity. It feels really, you know, it feels a really nice feeling to kind of say, thank you for what you gave me, I'd like to give something back to other people and support what you do. You know, obviously I do work there every day, and I see the people who work there and how hard they work, and how much kind of passion and knowledge and ability and drive is in that organisation. And as a small organisation, as is true of a lot of small organisations, there isn't really a kind of a sense of wanting to blow your own trumpet about their work. But, you know, as I say, with a lot of small organisations, the people who are there, I don't think necessarily realise how much they achieve, and I kind of, you know, want to take this opportunity for Barbican Theatre's sake to say Barbican Theatre is really working hard to do some really important stuff and is doing some important stuff. And if my colleagues aren't going to say it, then I'm going to say it. So well done, Barbican Theatre, and also thank you for paying me every month. That's very useful. So when I graduated from Central, pretty much at the end of my Central course, I had the rather good fortune of getting on the Old Vic New Voices 24-hour plays programme. I was 25, my application was basically, I'm 25, I can't do this next year, please let me do it this year. And I got in as a producer on 24-hour plays, which was just the most kind of brilliant experience. Anyone should do a 24-hour plays. It's mental and it's fun. It's so crazy and intensive. But the fact that you do 24 hours as this kind of close-knit community just brings you all together so much. But, you know, I did the 24-hour plays, and then I got offered more work through the Old Vic as well, of producing work. And, you know, and as this kind of, you know, as this kid from Plymouth really, who has no connection to the theatre industry and just got into it because it was something I discovered I really loved. To go and get your first professional producing work at the Old Vic Theatre, you know, while Kevin Spacey's running it, is just like, oh, like that was just mind-blowing. And you know, and I feel like just having that kind of vote of confidence of being given that opportunity by that organisation really kind of pushed me to want to make the most of it. And, you know, I got to meet, as I keep saying in these things, I got to meet so many amazing and talented people in terms of emerging artists who've gone on to amazing things now, you know, who I got to do a little kind of new play development piece. You know, I got to do those things with these amazing, incredible people who've achieved loads ever since. You know, I got to be around these organisations with such a hugely developed infrastructure that really committed to making exciting work and putting it on its stages. You know, the Old Vic is amazing in that way, and, you know, and it was great to have the opportunity to work with them at that point and to really give me that push in the right direction. And all the people who were there at the Old Vic New Voices team, you know, particularly Steve Winter and Alex Ferris, who were running it at the time, it gave me a massive boost in my confidence and those opportunities that I think my career would be very different if I didn't have that. So, and I think that's probably the same for a lot of artists who've gone through those programs, be it the Old Vic, New Voices, or any other schemes like that. Those things are really important, and I feel so privileged to have had that opportunity. So in my kind of career after that, I've done various bits of kind of freelancing and producing with various companies, and there's a few companies just to give little shout outs to as well, who've worked with freelance capacity. Box of Tricks Theatre I worked with in London, and got to do a lot of kind of projects with them based on new writing, and new writing's always been a passion of mine. And Adam and Hannah kind of brought me in on recommendation to be associate producer with them, and and I got to work again with so many amazing, talented writers and performers, but also got to spend working days with two people who are absolutely the most lovely people. So I benefited professionally and personally from the relationship with them, and also I had a point where I was homeless in London for about 3 months, and they gave me a place to stay, which is far more important than anything in terms of theatre work. But yeah, they relocated to Manchester, and it's really lovely to see how much they've kind of grown and developed since making that decision. They were such hard-working people, and I worked with them in London, and seeing them go on to do so much is really great. Also another company, the Molino Group, who I've worked with quite a lot in the last few years up until recently. A theatre company who make work that is quite political, but it's about stories and about getting stories out there of people. And it's a kind of work that I think it should be on stages all across the UK. We produced a tour of Desert, which is all the story of Chelsea Manning, and about the kind of the WikiLeaks, the whistleblowing for WikiLeaks that she was involved in, and kind of getting her story out at a time where she was incarcerated. She was pardoned by President Obama before he left the office. And did Art Weapon season, which focused on the story of Roland Penrose and Lee Miller, and the art scene in the early 20th century. And then we won the IdeaSap Award to take Giles Roberts' play much further out than you thought to Edinburgh a couple of years ago. The work, it's all about these kind of stories that need to be told out there, and it's it was great to work on those shows with that company, to take those pieces out. Similarly, I worked with Agent 160 Theatre Company, who also were taking important work out there because they were aiming to increase the visibility of female writers on British stages. We didn't put on a lot of productions when we were doing Agent 160, but what we did do is we put a lot of work by female writers on stages. We did our first tour, which covered Wales, Scotland and England, in a crazy hectic week or so, and then we did a Fun Palaces event at the Millennium Centre, and we put work by female writers out there on stages. British theatres, put more work by female writers on your stages. There are so many amazing, talented writers, not just currently, but in history, whose work should be seen, and you need to take a responsibility to put that work on stage there, because we did our bit, and we were a small touring company with no regular funding. So pull your socks up and get on it. So there's one particular final shout out I need to make, which is to Toast and Plymouth Fringe Festival. So myself, Matt Hoare, Tom Nicholas and Beth Schuler kind of founded the company and started the first Fringe Festival in 2015. And it was great to meet these like-minded people who shared that passion for wanting to give Plymouth its own Fringe Festival and to put work on in that way. It was great to have met those people at that time to make that happen. But more importantly, it wouldn't have happened without all the artists in the city and all the organisations in the city pulling together. The growth of the theatre ecology in Plymouth has been vast beyond kind of measurement in the last few years. Since I moved back into the city, it's been amazing to see how much it's grown. And for all the kind of work we've put in for the Fringe Festival, it would be pointless if people weren't there making the work to put on the stages, and if audience weren't there to see the work to be put on stages. So it's been so great to be in this city that I came back to expecting it to be a temporary measure before I went and found a job elsewhere, and to actually say this city has so much going on for it, and so many people pulling behind it to make this city get its recognition it deserves as a place for culture and theatre. And and that's down so much to the artists. The artists are working so hard, who, in a position where they're geographically isolated, they are struggling to be heard sometimes, but they continue to work hard and try to make things happen because they've got the passion to make work and put it on stages. And audiences continue to take risks to go and see that work. That is so inspiring to be in a city like that. Having been in London, whereas you can't move for actors and for theatres, and to be in a city where you struggle so hard to get that recognition, that visibility, but by God, people are trying, and the worm is beginning to turn, and it's really inspiring. And that's a really lovely feeling to be around a sector that's growing in that way. So in terms of world theatre, there's so many people to be thankful for. But, being in this geographical place that is beginning to kind of grow its own theatre world around it is really great. And and the artists continue to inspire every single day, be it whether I'm at work or whether I'm producing a Fringe Festival or going to see a show. That's what keeps me wanting to work in this business, is seeing the art that people make and seeing the drive that people have to make the art. So to all those people, I'm so grateful to be in this city where so much is going on, and I'm grateful to every single person who's also inspired all of you to make work, and for all of you out there whose work you're making and is making a difference. I'm sure there are hundreds of people who've inspired you down the years as well, and it feels nice to say on World Theatre Day, thank you to those people in whatever small way, however much you may or may not realise what you've done. You've influenced people to make this sector what it is. So from me to all those people I've mentioned, and hopefully from all the other people I've mentioned to the people who've been inspired, who've inspired you, I want to say thank you to all of you, and long may we always celebrate those achievements. So yeah, I thought a nice little message to have on World Theatre Day. So yeah, obviously, I'm sure you have your inspirations there as well. So do say to those people thank you for what you've inspired, and and for all of us, I hope that we work hard and we make a difference to some other people as well who might see what we do and engage with us and be inspired to make theatre as well. But yeah, so that's World Theatre Day 2017 in a nutshell, what I think it should be. So yeah, obviously go out there and say thank you to those people who've inspired you, and let's try to make World Theatre Day something that we do truly celebrate in a positive way, beyond just a few tweets saying congratulations, it's World Theatre Day, aren't we all so wonderful. Let's actually make it more valuable than that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Cheers.